What is the code? 04031-965!
Got it. See how easy that was?
I think that calls for a very affectionate wah-wah.
That's Jeremy Bolt cameo number 3. And the reason why you notice his hair is changing a little bit throughout these cameos is because apparently he had to shave his hair more and more so that he can look like a different zombie each time. Which makes sense. I mean, how nice of him to sacrifice his hair for these cameos. This is one of the more sad and disturbing deaths. Not because of the character. I didn't really give a shit about the character anyway. But it's the fact that, imagine dying like this. You know, you're just surrounded by these flesh-eating zombies and they're just all just killing you. With no remorse, no nothing. They're just there to eat you. However, the way he looks later on in the movie when he's a zombie is like, you should look like fucking, like the guy from Critters 2 when he got rolled over by the critter ball thing. Like, you should look fucking dead. I don't know how are you, dead. Like, you shouldn't even be back as a zombie. You should be already fucking finito. But yet he looks like he had a few bites on him, and it's like, okay, it's kind of dumb. Then again, this is the same kind of movie where Michelle Rodriguez gets bit like 5 times in this movie, and she doesn't turn into a zombie until like the very end of the movie. So I don't know why I'm expecting such logic from these movies. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the poorly aged CGI of the liquor. And back then, this looked actually pretty awesome to me. Now I'm looking at it now, I'm like, ooh, what is that? What did you do? Yeah, there's a lot of CGI in this movie that has aged horribly. I think all of it has aged horribly. But back then, it wasn't too bad. It was just like, all right, it's passable. But then you go fast forward to now. In fact, I say passable. Look back at 1993 when we had Jurassic Park and how fucking realistic those dinosaurs look. It's like, whoa, that looks like an actual creature there. Now you look at this, and you're like, okay, that's something.
Where are the bodies? Where did they go?
No, wait, that is a good question though. Where did the bodies go? Because some of them couldn't have been zombies, because a lot of them could just... The only one that could have been a zombie was maybe the guy who lost his fingers, and maybe even the guy who got cut in half, but I don't see one or the medic being a zombie, because their fucking neck... She got her neck bone sliced off, and fucking one was minced. So, I don't know, where did the bodies go? I always wondered about that when I watched this movie. I'm like, no, wait, yeah, that's a good question. Where the fuck did the bodies go? Because there's no... Unless zombies took them away, but there's no blood trail or nothing. I don't know. one of the many mysteries of this franchise.
Those people used to work here!
All the people working here are dead.
Well, that isn't stopping them from walking around.
That's actually a funny Spence line. He has a few funny lines and moments in this movie. Where he goes from being this, like, cool, nice guy, yeah, to slowly he's just becoming he could have been a potential meme if this came out today. He would have been a fucking meme so much. He would have easily been a meme with that line. There's some line he has later. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but it was actually funny. The fact that when during the zombie shootout, he's like standing by the door and Kaplan's like,
You waited?
Didn't know the code.
but as it almost implying like if he knew the code, he would just took the fuck off and left him. Like there's something funny about this character and some of the scenes in this movie.
Why didn't we see them on the way in?
When you cut the power, you unlock the doors. You let them out.
I mean, it wasn't really his fault. I mean, it kind of was, but it wasn't like he did it intentionally. Like, yeah, I'm gonna let out some zombies. I'm sure if he knew that was gonna happen, he would never have shut off the Red Queen. Again, the Red Queen probably should have used that as a bit of leverage to get him to stop. Like, sort of like, hey, don't do that. But she didn't, so fuck it. I do like that you can hear the tapping of the dog's paws before they get on screen. There's also something like this in the game where when you're walking around in Resident Evil 1 specifically, you'll hear like the dogs barking, and you're like, wait, are they gonna come at me? What's going on? So it's kind of reminiscent of that in a way. It's mainly in the remake. I think in the remake they did that and had something like that. But in the original, I don't think they had that at all. I don't remember much from the original, but I do remember a lot of the remake because I played that game like relentlessly. I could not play that game, and I wish they were more threatening in these movies. I mean, anytime the dogs pop up in the Resident Evil movies, they get killed off with ease by Alice. You know, Alice one-shots some of these dogs, and then she karate kicks a dog across the room. She blows the dogs up. The only time they killed in that movie was they killed Nikolai, the most pathetic version of that character I think I've ever seen. And then they killed a bunch of hillbillies in Resident Evil Extinction, but Alice kind of knocked the hillbillies down from a platform because they were trying to get the dogs to kill Alice, and she turned the tables on them, and they ended up getting killed by the dogs. But that was it, though. And then in Afterlife, she kicked like glass into a dog's face or something, or some shit. I was like, I can't even. I don't remember if there were dogs in the final chapter. Again, I tried my best to forget that movie, which is why I'm just dreading having to do a reaction review of that movie. I spent so long trying to forget how bad that movie. Believe me when I say it is the worst Resident Evil movie in the franchise. It is. This franchise truly has, in some way, become the Star Wars trilogy, the Star Wars franchise, because the last chapter of the saga is the worst of the entire saga. You know, final chapter, the Rise of Skywalker, they're equally the worst of their respective franchises, and it makes me sad. So yeah, I just wish the dogs were a little more threatening in these movies. They don't really feel like much of a threat to Alice. They feel like more of a threat to other people who aren't gonna, do some slow motion action kicks to their faces and shit. There you go. That's the guy from earlier who was this yelling at the dogs. That guy, again, I don't know if I mentioned, but the guy is a stunt coordinator for this movie. And it's nice to see he actually got in makeup for this role. You know, he gets to be what the punching bag for Alice. All that training she's done, Mila Jovovich has done for this role, kind of pays off, and he gets to kick her. She gets to kick him across the room. So that's another shot I like a lot in this movie. There's 3 different shots, maybe even 4, that I like in this movie a lot. There's the opening shot with when they pull the show, they pan into the laboratory. The ending scene shot was actually fantastic. I actually like that a lot. And then there's this shot, which is a very small shot, but it's a very short, little, brief moment. But I like this one a lot too, because it reminds me of the camera angles in the game, where they have like these little... I mean, unfortunately, you can't do like the fixed camera angle thing like you do in the game, because in the game, it's just, you're there, you could have fixed camera angles, but in a movie, you gotta have to move the camera around a bit, because then it looks a little static and boring. But, in the game, it's kind of different, because they have it that way to kind of give you that sense of like, oh, I don't like the way this is looking right now. Is something gonna pop out of this door, or something gonna pop out of this closet, or from under this bed or something? So it's really a nice touch. And I feel like this is the movie that tried the most to be similar to the game in a way. It tried the most to me. The story's sort of the same. They try to do their own story with Resident Evil rather than just try to, recreate and make a story from the games worse. Like Apocalypse did with Resident Evil Nemesis or Resident Evil 2. It's like, all right, we'll do our own thing with this, and I'm okay with that. I'm on board with that. I don't mind them doing it. I mean, this movie wasn't very good. It was okay at best, but still. But yeah, I do like this shot a lot, and I get why they can't do this all the time. Otherwise, again, it looks boring on film. In a game where you're actively a part of the experience and you're part of the story, and you get to affect how the story goes and stuff. Because people don't know, Resident Evil has sort of a choose your own path type of deal. It depends on how you play the game. Depending on how you play the game, certain events will play out a certain way, and that's having static camera angles in a game is fine. In a movie, not so much. So, for the brief moments they did this, I think this is the only scene in the movie that has done that. I appreciate it. That's all I can say. That's actually a moment similar to the game as well, where the dog would jump through a window and shit. In Resident Evil, the remake, they actually change it up from the original. Because in the original, when you walk down that little hallway, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. When you walk down that hallway, they just immediately jump out the window. But in the remake, they kind of tease you with it. Like, if you played it for the first time, with having played the original, you're like, oh, the dogs are wait, they're not coming. Because they'll just break the glass a little bit. They'll crack the glass, so they'll be barking and stuff. And then when you go back down the hall later on, they'll come out the fucking, depending on how you gotta get a certain item to trigger that moment. But they come crashing through the window and shit and scaring the fuck out of you. The worst one was in Resident Evil Nemesis, I think, where you're walking towards City Hall, and the dogs just burst through the fucking window out of nowhere. Depending on how you play the game, you either get the dogs or the crows, and that shit is fucking haunting. I was like, oh my god, what? You know, that game, it really makes me miss these games a lot. I can't play them quite right now, but I do miss playing them when I was playing them. They were pretty fun. They're pretty insane as far as the jump scares go. I actually do like some of the designs of these dogs. You know, the rotting flesh look, some of the bitten off ears, some of the fucked up looking eyes and shit. Like, I do like that because it does look like how they should look. I mean, in the game, especially the remake, they looked really fucked up, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty terrifying. Like, if you see that coming at you, you probably shit yourself. The main dog that comes at her doesn't really look like that. It looks like they just threw a bunch of makeup on him and said, fuck it. But these dogs that you see here actually look a lot better than the one that's been after her this whole time. For some reason, that's also an iconic shot to Resident Evil, the movies. The fact that she kicks the dog, I was just like, that looks kind of stupid. Back then, I didn't care as a kid, but like I look at it now and I'm like, this looks pretty dumb. Not gonna lie to you, that looks kind of stupid. That moment wasn't that deep, my guy. It wasn't that deep. It wasn't necessary to have that moment of just like, what the fuck was that? There's just something funny about him doing that. Oh shit. He has some of the funniest and doofiest faces in this movie. I know that's not Eric Mambius' fault, but it's still very funny to me every time I see him. I do love that just before that zombie bangs against the glass, you kind of see him. And I also love the way he backs up when he gives up. He's like, alright, you won this round. Look, I like this movie a lot, but there's a lot of funny shit in this movie, both intentionally and unintentionally. So, I guess it adds to the charm of this movie, I guess.
Who is she? My sister.
My British sister. I gotta assume they're step siblings. I don't. Maybe the novelization has something on that, because the novelization I heard like expands on some of the characters, like Kaplan and Rain and One and all those other characters. The novelizations for the entire saga of Kaplan explains a lot of the events of these movies that the movies don't really show. Like, even things they should show, they don't explain. Like, how is Ada, Leon, and Jill dead in Resident Evil: The Final Chapter? Well, the novelization explains that in detail. They also explain that Becky, the deaf girl from Resident Evil Retribution, she's still alive. She's actually somewhere with somebody, like, waiting for Alice to come home and shit to take care of Umbrella and all this stuff. She's still alive. We don't know, but we would know that from the movie. You know, they just kind of leave you out of the loop on that one. So, yeah, I guess the novelizations give you more information than the movies do. I assume they'll give us information as to why Lisa's British and Matt's not. So, My guess is they're step siblings or something.
If your friends had been a little more thorough, they would have seen right through my false ID. And all the red flags would have gone off. Quantico, NSA, VICAP, all the rest. There's no way I could have infiltrated the Hive.
Okay, Matt, I hear you, but why did you and your sister use your real names to go through this operation? Like that made no sense to me. Like, guys couldn't use fake names or anything. Like nothing at all. Just no. Okay. Hell, maybe Lisa's accent's fake, and that's what. But then again, if you're gonna fake your accent, why not fake everything else, like your name? Whatever. I don't know. So many plot holes in this thing. I mean, I don't know if it's a plot hole, but it just doesn't make sense particularly. That should have blown the, like, they should have, like, I don't know, looked into these people just a little bit.
Son of a bitch!
That's another funny line from Spence. Son of a bitch! It was the way he says that just kills me every time I hear it.
That homicidal bitch killed my team.
That homicidal bitch may be our only way out of here.
I'm not sure why you want to ask the kill computer program for help, but okay. Hell, even Michelle Rodriguez says it best, like, later on. That homicidal bitch killed my team. Like, yeah, that's it. That's a fair point. It's like that. This fucking homicidal computer program fucking wiped out like 5 people, like a half hour ago. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Even in death, the human body still remains active. Hair and fingernails continue to grow. New cells are produced, and the brain itself holds a small electrical charge that takes months to dissipate.
Fun fact, I do believe that is... Fun fact, I guess that's true. No, but I think that is an actual thing. I think that when you die, there's some small electrical charge in your brain that holds, and like the hair and fingernails thing, I believe that's also true as well. So I do appreciate that little bit of, staying true to reality, I guess, in this movie, because I believe that is an accurate thing. Yeah, so the JD who got slaughtered by like fucking 20 zombies has some scratches on his face. He should not look like that. He should look way more fucked up than he does than he does right now.
How do you kill them?
Severing the top of the spinal column or massive trauma to the brain are the most effective methods.
You mean shoot them in the head?
Oh, you mean that thing you guys could have done earlier? You guys never bothered trying once in that whole shootout with the zombies? Never once tried to shoot them in the head? You just gotta like, that's okay. Body shots only.
You must understand, those who become infected, I can't allow you to leave.
Whoa, we're not infected.
Just one bite, one scratch from these creatures is sufficient. And then, you become one of them.
I love that basically here, you just know Michelle Rodriguez is kind of screwed. She got bitten like 3 times so far, I think. And actually, she gets bitten even more in about a few minutes. It's like, Jesus Christ, this girl can't catch a break.
We need a way out of here. If you refuse to help at any time, we flip the switch. Understand?
I'm not sure why the Red Queen would care or give a shit about being quote-unquote killed by these people. I'm not sure. I don't know if a computer program would really give too much of a shit about that. Like, I'm not even sure why the computer program gave a shit in the first place. But, like, in the earlier scene, I guess to prevent them from releasing the zombies and the T-virus and shit. But, like, at this point, it's like, well, you already fucked that up, so... Like, I don't see the point in caring now that you're gonna shut me down.
After you.
Where is this exactly? Because this can't be in the Red Queen chamber, right? Because otherwise, how the hell did they not see this? So where exactly is this little hatch to the tunnel? And if it is in the Red Queen chamber, how the hell did they not see that until now? Wow. Yeah, that's one of the problems with this scene. Is like, oh, there's a hatch over there. Like, is that in the corner of the room? And the Red Queen's like, oh yeah, there's a hatch right there. Just go there, 2 feet to your left. Like that'd be embarrassing.
Another thing this movie did similar to the game is that they get you into these new areas. You know, like in Resident Evil 1, you can go into the mansion, but you also got that graveyards, the courtyard, whatever. You got the cabins. You can go down in the laboratory and that stuff. Resident Evil 2, you got the police station. Then you go underground. There's a sewer. There's a laboratory right underneath the city. Same with Resident Evil Nemesis. You got the police station. You got the city streets, the trolleys, the clock towers, and all that stuff. It's like like in many Resident Evil games, you get to go in different areas besides the one you're kind of stuck in at the moment. You know, so in this movie, we went from the mansion, which really we weren't in the mansion very long. Then you go into the hive, and then you're in the underground tunnels and stuff like that. So it does feel somewhat like the game where they kind of send you to these brand new areas, and it's like, oh wow, there's a whole other world down here in the hive, you know. So yeah, I do appreciate that. And there's not much else new area wise. I mean, I think after this you go back into the labs, and then you gotta go into then they all go into the train, and then back to the mansion again. So it's nice to kind of explore a little more of the hive at this point.
Been in here before.
Keep moving!
Going around in circles.
No, this is the route the computer gave us. Through the
I don't know why
utility.
you're listening to her.
No, but Spencer's right though. Why are we listening to her? Because like I don't know why we're trusting this killer murderous computer program. I just don't get it.
We have no choice but to keep moving, because those things are right behind us. You got that?
I love that no one noticed all these zombies sneaking up into this grate. Like, you didn't see all these fucking bodies just crawling down that tunnel? What the fuck?